Good evening and welcome to the 18th annual Gerry and Bob Virgil Ethic of Service Awards presented by the Gephardt Institute for Civic and Community Engagement at Washington University in St. Louis. I'm John Beuerlein, and it's my honor to serve as the chair of the Gephardt Institute's National Council. You know, the Gephardt Institute fosters a vibrant culture of civic engagement throughout Washington University, and it's manifested by engaged citizens, scholarship, and partnership that advances society's collective good. And after taking a pause last year in light of the pandemic, we are doubly excited tonight to be recognizing not only our 2021 attendees, but a long overdue celebration of our 2020 honorees. So let me thank the award's namesakes, Gerry and Bob Virgil, for being here tonight, as well as Beverly Wendland, Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. They are joined by many of our past distinguished honorees, current honorees, special guests, and nominators of our honorees who are helping to shine a bright light on the many contributions of our awardees. Let me turn now to an extra special guest, our next speaker, Andrew D. Martin, Chancellor and Professor of Political Science and Law at Washington University in St. Louis. From 2014 to 2018, Andrew served as Dean of the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts at the University of Michigan. Prior to that, he served in various positions at Washington University, including as the Charles Nagel Chair of Constitutional Law and Political Science, Vice Dean of the School of Law, Founding Director of the Center for Empirical Research in the Law, and Chair of the Department of Political Science in Arts and Sciences. Very busy guy. Chancellor Martin calls himself a numbers guy, as he has contributed greatly to the study of the law through the lens of numbers. More specifically, quantitative political methodology, empirical legal studies, and applied statistics with attention focused on U.S. Supreme Court decision-making. He earned his doctorate in political science from Washington University in 1998 and his Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics and Government in 1994 from the College of William and Mary. Please help me welcome Washington University's spiritual leader, Chancellor Andrew Martin.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction, John, and good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us as we celebrate our annual Gerry and Bob Virgil Ethic of Service Award. I really want to thank our team at the Gephardt Institute for organizing this event and for all that they do to advance our mission to improve lives in service of the greater good through civic engagement and partnership throughout the region. The Gerry and Bob Virgil Ethic of Service Award is given annually and recognizes a select group of members of the Washington University community who exemplify a character of service and engagement with the St. Louis region. To date, more than 100 Washington University students, faculty, staff, alumni, retirees, and volunteers have been honored. I am delighted that both our 2020 and 2021 honorees now join that remarkable list, and that they truly embody these qualities through their dedication, scholarship, lives, and careers. I also want to welcome Bob and Gerry back to St. Louis. They spent a year up in Michigan, have returned to our community. The two of you have done so much for Washington University. I am deeply grateful for your friendship, and I'm really pleased to be here tonight. Regrettably, we are without one of our honorees this evening following the tragic passing of Halbert Sullivan last week. Halbert was a 1997 Brown School graduate with a Master of Social Work and the founder and CEO of the nonprofit Fathers and Families Support Center. We celebrate his incredible legacy of service this evening, and you will learn more about his accomplishments later in the program. We hope that his resilience and compassion can be a model for all of us. Like Halbert, all of tonight's honorees go above and beyond their professional responsibilities and service to our local neighborhoods and the region at large. They show and inspire compassion for others and exude passion for social, cultural, and economic issues. What's more, they're ambassadors for St. Louis and have that faith that together we can make the region a better and more equitable place for all people. As Chancellor, increasing our role, impact, and partnership in St. Louis and for St. Louis is one of my biggest strategic priorities, And that's especially why this annual recognition is so important to me and the university as a whole. We must continue to uplift and recognize those who are dedicated to improving our region so that others may be similarly inspired to do the same. Thank you again for being with us, and to the honorees, congratulations. Please know how grateful I am for your leadership and service, and I look forward to learning more about your commitments during tonight's celebration.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Martin. We are so grateful for your leadership and for the priority that you are placing on strengthening Washington University's engagement and impact in St. Louis and for St. Louis. My name is Stephanie Kurtzman, and I'm honored to serve as director of the Gephardt Institute for Civic and Community Engagement. It's a privilege to join you this evening from Sticks House, the home of the Gephardt Institute on Washington University's Danforth campus. Because we're connecting virtually this evening, I'd like to call attention to a few housekeeping items for your benefit. First, everyone other than our featured speakers have been muted. While we wish we could hear your applause and your enthusiastic support for our honorees, we know that an open mic on a full Zoom is not the best idea. We do hope to see lots of notes of support and congratulations in the chat. Second, we encourage you to communicate with our team or with each other via the chat function. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please feel free to send a chat to the meeting host. Lastly, we are recording this event, and the videos celebrating our honorees will all be shared on our website after the event. Tonight, as you've heard, we gather to celebrate our honorees both from 2020 and 2021. They include 3 undergraduates, 1 graduate student, 3 faculty members, 4 alumni, and for the first time, 1 family. Traditionally, we present this award in person each spring during a ceremony on campus. And we dearly wish we could do that again, but right now we continue to operate out of an abundance of caution to prioritize everybody's safety. If we were together in person, however, this is about the time in the event that I would welcome to the podium each of our honorees and their respective nominators for the award. In lieu of this, we invited each of our nominators to share a few words about our honorees. We are pleased to share these short videos with you now. We begin with our honorees from 2020. Chawntelle Fisher, Allie Lindstrom, Mark McCarthy, Richard Ryffel, Claire Weichselbaum, and the late Halbert Sullivan. Please join me in learning more about our 2020 honorees.
In 2012, at the age of 43, Chawntelle Fisher founded Soul Fisher Ministries as its president and CEO. You see, she became a mother at 15, was an excellent student, but unable to support her child and keep up with her studies. Her solution was to write checks, even when there was no money in the bank. Instead of giving her social services and counseling, our so-called criminal justice system convicted her of a felony and sent her to prison. Consequently, she rotated in and out of incarceration for over 20 years before making the decision to allow God to transform her life. She enrolled in community college, graduating at the top of her class, applied for a scholarship to UMSL, where she received a dual degree in education and media studies, was awarded a full ride scholarship to the Brown School, where she earned an MSW and degree in divinity from Eden Theological Seminary, all by running the Soul Fisher Ministries, serving incarcerated women and children. Chawntelle is deserving of this award because of her commitment and dedication to lift up and support incarcerated women. She has grown Soul Fisher Ministry to a multi-million-dollar not-for-profit that is recognized nationally as a leader in the field. Chawntelle, you're an amazing woman, a good friend to us, the university, and the community. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition.
Allie's list of work is just staggering. First, as president of Green Action and campaign manager for fossil-free WashU, she led the campaign that got the university administration to commit to endowment transparency. Allie was immediately recruited to help build the Tidal Mind student movement, which aimed to reform the university's Title IX policies. They achieved concrete success. 21 of 29 student demands for Title IX reform were met by the next semester. Allie was the grassroots network liaison for the Sierra Club Trade, Human Rights, and Environment Committee. She collaborated on the organization of the Michigan People's NAFTA Summit to bring together legislators, union leaders, and environmental justice advocates for a national discussion of trade policy. She joined the Sunrise Movement, a youth-led national organization advocating for the Green New Deal. She founded the Ann Arbor, Michigan Sunrise chapter and led their strategy development. She worked with the St. Louis Sunrise Hub, local high school students, and the environmental organization 365 to make the 2019 St. Louis climate strike happen. And now she is a research coordinator at Future Coalition. Allie challenged the institution to which she belonged, which is a great act of service to the WashU community. And I think of leaders as those who live according to their own ethics, forge a path for change, and mentor others. I have seen Allie do all three of those things every day. And I think there are many more like her at WashU that also deserve to be celebrated.
Mark is like almost like a chameleon. You know, he's there, he becomes what people need of him. You know, not only is he showing up, but he's doing everything he can to help people.
What inspires me most about Mark is just his sense of giving back to the community. Not every dentist gives back, but he does it in a selfless way.
You know, providing service to kids at Boys Hope, Girls Hope, inviting kids in with autism to help get them dental work, and he does that all for free.
Each one of them he knows personally. He's not only just fixing their teeth, but he knows about what school they go to. He knows where they are.
It's really neat to see, and he just makes such an impact. And on top of all that, he does it so humbly as well. The criteria that I think of when I think of Mark for this award is one, service to others, and two, it's service to the St. Louis region. You know, he's making people in the St. Louis area that are disenfranchised, he's making their lives better. And he tries to do that in every way that he can. You know, I always knew that he was involved in different charity events and volunteering in different ways. But I'll be honest, after I nominated him for this, and he heard that I did it, I said, Mark, if I had known about half the things you were involved in, I don't know if I would have nominated you. He's just involved in so much. He embodies this award, and he just gives himself selflessly to our community in so many different ways.
I first met Rich Ryffel about 20 years ago when we were both working at Edward Jones, and immediately impressed with him. And you could tell immediately that being civic minded was one of those passions that he brought to the table. He started out by joining Beyond Housing, and for over 20 years worked to help make North County a better place. He brought a bank to Pagedale, a grocery store to a food desert, a health clinic, a coffee shop, a movie theater to where there once was none. And beyond that, serving as a past board member on the United Way, he founded the Uptick Division, inspiring members of the financial services community to higher levels of support. One of Rich's favorite platforms was when he served as the St. Louis chairman of JP Morgan Chase, their market leadership team, where he advocated for undergraduate and graduate scholarships for minorities at Bio St. Louis, the Social Policy Institute, the Scandalaris Center, and even at the Brown School at Washington University. The list goes on. You know, he's the kind of guy that he believes that much can be accomplished if you don't care who gets the credit. So everyone that ever get a chance to work with Rich is always taken with his humility. His nomination coming at this point in time, with his focus on being the best possible advocate for St. Louis that he can be, really dovetails with Chancellor Martin's challenge to us all to really live up to that standard of Washington University, not just in St. Louis, but for St. Louis.
I've known Claire since she was a very little girl. And so it was a great privilege to see Claire come to Washington University for a PhD. It's amazing. I'd note that she's already the co-author or author of 15 publications, presentations, abstracts. She's become a very accomplished scholar in neuroscience and teaching. She's had a deep commitment to bringing excellence in science education to underserved populations in St. Louis. She got on some very ambitious projects, co-founding and co-directing the Brain Discovery Program. It's a novel outreach program. We partner with scientists and schools to raise scientific literacy and interest in STEM careers. She's served over 1,500 students for 65 classrooms in the region. Not only does she have this interest in getting everybody into STEM education, but she has a way of grabbing young kids' interests. Yes, she is constantly doing something that many of us would find very trying. She is a foster parent for cats. She's helped them iron out their personalities a little bit and then move them on to other owners. So that's one of just the background things she's been doing as well. But mostly, I'm just here to say how enthusiastic I am and how proud I am that we'd have Claire Weichselbaum here at Washington University, not only as an outstanding neuroscience PhD student, but as somebody that's kind of set a new standard for STEM education.
In 1997, after earning an MSW and Certificate of Business Management from the Brown School, Halbert Sullivan founded and became the first president and CEO of Father and Family Support Centers, a position he still holds. Father and Family Support Centers has served tens of thousands of men and their families over their storied 23-year history, being recognized locally, statewide, and nationally as a thought leader and program provider. Their work is focused on a population of young men who have in one way or another been marginalized by society, men with great potential if only given a second chance. Yes, Halbert personifies what is possible when given a second chance, and that is where Washington University came into the picture. Halbert's youth was filled with trauma, neglect, addiction, and incarceration until his true potential was realized and he received a scholarship to attend the Brown School. In appreciation, he has stayed active at the university, just last year giving an inspirational graduation speech to the Brown School class of 2020. 3 words that best describe Halbert are resilient, inspirational, and strategic. Halbert, you are a good man, a good friend to me, the university, and our community. Congratulations on this well-deserved award.
We are so proud to recognize the contributions of Shawntelle, Allie, Mark, Richard, Claire, and Halbert. On behalf of everyone joining us this evening, thank you for the incredible example you set for all of us and for inspiring each of us to deepen our own ethic of service. To further explore this concept of an ethic of service that brings us together this evening, I'm honored to introduce our next guest. Congressman Richard Gephardt founded the Gephardt Institute in 2005 after retiring from 28 years in the U.S. House of Representatives, where he served as House Democratic leader for over 14 years. As a native St. Louisan, he began his career in public service in 1968 as a precinct captain for St. Louis's 14th Ward and then as an alderman. Welcome, Congressman Gephardt, to the conversation. Congressman Gephardt, as you know, the Gerry and Bob Virgil Ethic of Service Award recognizing WashU community members who exemplify a character of service and engagement with the St. Louis region. The foundation of this award, an ethic of service, is inextricably tied to the belief that each of us has a role to play in strengthening our community, our region, and our nation. At the same time, public trust in our government is consistently low, and according to a recent study, dissatisfaction with democracy is at a new high. In spite of these seemingly insurmountable challenges we face as a nation, you've made a lifetime commitment to service. How do you think the will of one person can impact and strengthen our democracy?
Well, thanks, Stephanie, and I want to salute all these awardees. Thank you for all you're doing and all you're going to do in the future. You certainly deserve these awards. All of us have a role to play in a democracy. I have always been fascinated with studying our democracy, how it works, sometimes how it doesn't work. And I've always been very interested in the comments of Alex de Tocqueville that were written in 1831 when he visited America after France had had a failed attempt at having a democracy in 1789, the same year that we wrote our Constitution. And he wanted to figure out why America was able to do this and other countries like France had been unable to do it. And Today, in fact, I read an article in the Atlantic magazine, which I recommend to all of you, by Ann Applebaum, about the problems we now have with information culture and the social media and the internet today. But in that article, in the lead part of the article, she talks about de Tocqueville's writings. And I just want to quote a few lines of what she said about what he said. He was writing this in 1831. He traveled all over the United States and tried to understand what made America able to have a democracy. And she says, despite the vast empty spaces of their country, Americans met one another, made decisions together, carried out projects together. Americans were good at democracy because they practiced democracy. They formed what he called associations, the myriad organizations that we now call civil society. Later, he says, in France, philosophies and grand salons discussed abstract principles of democracy, yet ordinary Frenchmen had no special links to one another. He reckoned that the true success of democracy in America rested not on the grand ideals expressed on public monuments or even in the language of the Constitution, but in these civil habits and practices. He said, Americans work together. As soon as several of the inhabitants of the US have conceived a sentiment, an idea that they want to produce in the world, they seek each other out. And when they have found each other, they unite. That's what these awardees have done, are doing, and will do in the future. That's what all of us have to do to keep this democracy strong and vibrant.
Thank you so much for those comments. I know I will be looking up that article tonight. As you mentioned, the honorees, they have very impressive stories that illuminate what it means to live by an ethic of service. For all of us, what encouragement can you share to help us define our own unique ethic of service?
Well, we're all different. We all have different interests. We all have different challenges in our life. We all have different amounts of time that we can dedicate to civic and community affairs. My advice is that everybody just think about for a moment in their life, early on if you can, what part of our great democracy you want to take in our community, in our civic affairs that you want to participate in. What is your interest? What really makes you happy? What's rewarding to you? And the good news is that everybody's different. So we're going to have a lot of really different efforts going on. But my advice is just think about it. Look around you. Look around you in your community. What concerns you? What do you think the challenges are? And then seek out others, as de Tocqueville said, that want to work on that project and work with them, bring them together to work as a team to solve problems.
Thank you so much for those words. And thank you, Congressman Gephardt, for your public service and for modeling a lifetime commitment to serving others and serving our country. I'm now pleased to introduce our newest cohort of honorees in the cohort of 2021. Together, they include powerful stories of service and impact on campus and in the community, in normal times and in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Our 2021 Gerry and Bob Virgil Ethic of Service Award honorees are Alyssa Despotis, Marina P. Gross, Karen Tokarz, Nidhi Krishnan, Quinn Tyminski, the Alice and Jess Yawitz family, and Kennedy Young. Please join me in learning more about our 2021 honorees.
The three words that I would use to describe Alyssa are above and beyond. She really goes above expectations of anyone to make a huge impact in the lives of others. Her involvement and efforts to make the St. Louis community a better place, especially through her role in Give Thanks, Give Back, is just unparalleled. Give Thanks, Give Back. It's centered around a holiday gift drive and raising money for members of the St. Louis community who might not have the funds for gifts and just also struggling with basic necessities. The first year she was president, I think there were around 170 cases that she sponsored and that found organizations and individuals and faculty members to sponsor and give gifts for. And then the next year it was around 190. And by the time she graduates, there will be about 500 cases that she will have sponsored. But also she's just such a kind and wonderful person. She really emphasizes in her actions and values servant and compassionate leadership and is really focused on others. And she just wants to make sure that others can share that joy.
Marina is authentic and persistent. There is no one else I have met that has the passion that she brings to the work. The reason I believe Marina has been a great exemplar of the Ethic of Service Award is because of how she has really recognized the fact that our graduate students are our students here at Washington University, but they're also citizens of St. Louis. What she has done is created opportunities on our campus, with our campus, and in our community for her graduate student peers. It's expensive to go to school here. Students many times are looking for opportunities to work, for other resources to make their experience here an equitable one and an inclusive one. And her commitment to that work has been extraordinary. It was Marina's voice that really made a difference for so many students. And I just know that what she will do in the future will have an impact on both campuses and communities that she'll serve in the future.
Maybe someone who is extremely self-aware, just kind of understanding who she is and her identity. Someone who I think is dedicated. Everything that she's been involved in, she has gone the extra mile for, and just incredibly passionate. She's been someone who we can call and say, hey, we would really love you to kind of talk about like the work that you're doing, or hey, we'd really love you to talk a little bit more about the communities that you've been able to be a part of here at WashU. And without a doubt, she's ready to do it. She's just incredibly passionate about people, whether it be community members, whether it be future WashU students. She's someone who was incredibly persistent and ambitious and had some really lofty goals. But she came into the campus and she found her niches. She found the things she liked, things she didn't like really quickly. And so when I think about someone who has both found a home on campus, but also off campus, Nidhi is the person I think about.
Compassionate, fearless, and problem solver. And that is what Karen Tokarz is. Karen is a force for good in the lives of our students and those in our community. And her work modeling and inspiring commitment to public service cannot be overstated. She inspires compassion and action among her students and colleagues, and she exudes a sincere passion for social, cultural, and economic issues vital to St. Louis. Karen has been a member of Washington University Law's faculty for almost 4 decades. And in addition to that, she is a highly respected civil rights mediator. She was named to the best lawyers in America in the field of mediation every year since 2010. And in the fall of 2019, she was inducted as a distinguished fellow in the International Academy of Mediators. For 25 years, Karen directed the law school's clinical education program, which includes 15 clinics and multiple externship opportunities. And due in large part to her efforts, our clinical program is considered among the best in the country. Over the years, the work of Karen's clinic and mediation project have literally saved hundreds of individuals from eviction. To fully recognize Karen's tremendous impact on our community would require a full-length feature film. She is an incredible role model to her students and her colleagues, and by example, has inspired so many to follow in her path, both in our community and throughout the world.
Quinn is someone whose service goes way beyond our requirements for a faculty member. She is incredibly devoted to the community of St. Louis and also specifically to people who are experiencing homelessness. She's been basically all over the city of St. Louis, St. Patrick's Center, Biddle House, Peter and Paul Community Services, you name it, she's been in a relationship with them in terms of serving the clients in their organization. She continually inspires me to, up my game, to think more about how I can serve my community, how I can serve the people that are in my program, our students. She's an inspiration, I think, to all of us. And there are people from all over our community who co-nominated her with me. That sums up, I guess, how I feel like I'd love people to be able to remember what I do as well. So, it kind of raises the bar and helps us strive in our program for this ethic of service. We think she's incredibly special in the program in OT and would love for our students to follow in her footsteps.
The Jess and Alice Yawitz family is greatly deserving of the award. Jess, I think, is one of the most innovative, entrepreneurial people I know, and the way he goes about his philanthropic efforts is basically, he doesn't want credit for it. He's usually anonymous, so a lot of the things he's doing, people are not aware of. I mean, for instance, he and his sons started the Transformational Leadership Initiative, which is a K through 12 initiative to develop leadership in the various school systems, to have the school systems themselves develop the leadership. They first worked with the Ferguson Forest District and also now the U City and also the St. Louis Public Schools. They early on set up the Gateway Resilience Fund to help small businesses survive in very difficult environment. They're doing that through the St. Louis Community Foundation. Yawitz family, it embodies the values of Washington U in many ways. First of all, Washington U is in St. Louis and for St. Louis. They are also in St. Louis and for St. Louis. So I think they fit right within the values of Washington U.
Kennedy is really passionate about just being a voice for some folks who society has silenced. The project that I know Kennedy has been working on is a prison education project. So her and a group of her friends co-founded the STL Reentry Fund with a group of formerly incarcerated people in Ally. And so it's a mutual aid fund that really assists folks in the community with the needs that they have. When you think about what COVID has done to folks, utility shutoffs and those types of bills, I think that she's been able to raise some funds to support folks who really need it. Some of the words that I would use to describe her are caring, an advocate, and really a warrior. And when I think about a warrior, I think about someone who is willing to fight for others. From the work that she's been able to do in the community through the Prison Education Project and STL Reentry Fund, for me that symbolizes someone who's been a warrior for others. We all love her, Irvin supports her, and she's gonna do amazing things.
Alyssa, Marina, Karen, Nidhi, Quinn, Kennedy, Alice and Jess, and their sons, Andrew and Daniel Yawitz. Congratulations to all of you once again, and thank you for inspiring us. One of the things that binds all of our honorees tonight and over the preceding 17 years of this special award is the connection you now have with Gerry and Bob Virgil, the namesakes of the award. I'm pleased now to introduce Bob and Gerry Virgil, whose connection with Washington University has endured since 1958, when Bob earned his master's degree and doctorate in business administration. Bob is Dean Emeritus of the Olin Business School, an emeritus trustee, and an active contributor to the success of Washington University and of the Gephardt Institute. Throughout their lives, he and Gerry have been exemplars of an ethic of service. Bob?
Stephanie, thank you very much. Dick Gephardt, those remarks of yours were terrific. I think I ought to let those be the concluding remarks. Gerry and I, first of all, want to thank everyone who's here for this 18th year of the Ethic of Service Award. I'm told we have over 200 people on, and that's a great turnout. We want to join the Chancellor in thanking the people of the Gephardt Institute. This hasn't been quite as good as being in person, but it's been as close to that as possible. And you all have done a great job, and we thank you for that. You may be interested a little bit in the background of this award. It started in 2003. That was the Sesquicentennial year of Washington University. The planning committee sought the advice of Bill Danforth, and he wisely said, during the year, you'll do a lot of very good events, but virtually all of them will be forgotten almost immediately. So try to do one of two things that will last, such that 50 years from now, when people on campus ask, where did that come from? The answer will be, well, it was in the Sesquicentennial year of 2003. The planning committee also wanted to be sure that the students would participate actively in the Sesquicentennial. And in that interest, Stephanie Kurtzman pulled together a group of student leaders. And one of those persons said that she thought the students would be very interested in celebrating their peers and others in the Washington University community who had done extraordinary things in community service. So that was the birth of the Ethic of Service Award. And from its beginning, Stephanie has made it her cause. Without her, the award would not exist. And Gerry and I are deeply grateful to Stephanie for that. So in 2053, that'll be the bicentennial year of Washington University. Will people say, where did the Ethic of Service Award come from? Well, we don't know the answer to that. But tonight, we're 18 years along toward that. And that thrills Gerry and I. You 13 awardees, you set an amazing example for tomorrow's students and faculty and staff and alumni of Washington University. And listening tonight to the presentations about you, adding everything up, the footprint that you in the aggregate have left on the St. Louis region is simply incredible. Improving public school education, fatherhood, developing youth leaders, racial equity, justice, occupational therapy, advocating for the incarcerated and their families, gifts for children during the holidays, fostering inclusion on the campus of Washington University, health care, scholarships, dental work, housing, STEM education, helping small businesses back on their feet and to survive. And more than that, it is just simply incredible. All of you are equal in our eyes, but Gerry and I do have to say something about the Yawitz family. Jess and Alice are among our very best friends. We've known them for 50 years. We've known their sons, Daniel and Andrew, and it just thrills us to have them receiving this award in our name. Now, you awardees, you can't rest on your laurels. The question is, what's your next step? What's the next footprint you're going to lead? Peter Drucker, who I think was the greatest thinker and teacher about management, Peter advised that when we come to an important juncture in our life or in our career, before we jump into the next phase, we ought to pause and very deliberately think about what's the footprint we want to leave during the next phase. What do we want people to say we have contributed during that phase? Now, I would suggest that you're receiving this award and joining all of the previous awardees. I would suggest this is such a juncture for you. Let me put it this way. The Washington University community around the globe must be close to about 200,000 people. You are 13 of them. Very, very, very rare. So what's your next footprint going to be? And let Gerry and I give you this challenge. Before you jump forward, stop and deliberately think and define that footprint. You may decide it's a continuation of what you've been doing, and that's fine. You may decide you want to take something completely new on. But define that footprint. Then structure your life to be able to deliver it. And then go on to leave still another footprint on communities. Gerry and I congratulate you. We wish you good luck on your next footprint. And again, we thank everyone for being here to help celebrate these amazing members of the Washington University family.
Well, a great big thank you to Gerry and Bob for being with us tonight and for the wonderful example that they set. You know, we simply couldn't ask for better role models for the values and beliefs that we believe are embodied in the Ethic of Service Awards. We hope you've enjoyed this wonderful Washington University tradition. And if you were inspired, as I was tonight over this evening's honorees, I encourage you to think about who else in your circle that you believe might be worthy of this recognition. The nomination form for our 2022 awards is now open. And for more information, please visit the Gephardt Institute website. All nominees must be submitted by November 7th, 2021. Our sincere thanks to our event production partner this evening, the hardworking team from Mike Martin Media. They did a great job for us. Thanks again to all of you for joining us for this celebration, and a final congratulations to our 13 honorees. From all of us at the Gephardt Institute, have a wonderful rest of your evening.